Well, good afternoon, everyone, church family, friends, loved ones, visitors, everyone who's watching. My name is Trey Poole. I'm the minister of the gospel right here at and for the Op Church of Christ. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for today's message in a minute. And I heard this on the radio earlier this week, and it comes from one of Max Lucado's books, In the Eye of the Storm. It's a tremendous story, a true story. I want to share it with you today. You see, it happened every Friday evening, almost without fail, when the sun resembled a giant orange and was starting to dip into the blue ocean. Old Ed came strolling along the beach to his favorite pier. Clutched in his bony hand was a bucket of shrimp. Eddie walks out to the end of the pier, where it seems he almost has the world to himself. The glow of the sun is a golden bronze by now. Before long, however, he is no longer by himself. Up in the sky, 1,000 white dots come screeching and squawking, winging their way toward that lanky frame standing there on the edge of that pier. Before long, dozens of seagulls have enveloped him, their wings fluttering and flapping wildly. Ed stands there tossing shrimp to the hungry birds. And as he does, if you listen closely, you can hear him say with a smile, "Thank you, thank you." In a few short minutes, the bucket is empty. But Ed does not leave. He stands there lost in thought, as though transported to another time and another place. You know, old folks often do some strange things, at least in the eyes of baby boomers and busters. Most of them would probably write old Ed off down there in Florida. That's too bad. They do well to know him better. You see, his full name, Eddie Rickenbacker. He was a famous hero of World War I. And then he was also in World War II. On one of his flying missions across the Pacific, he and his 7-member crew, they went down. But miraculously, all of the men survived. They crawled out of their plane and climbed into a life raft. Captain Rickenbacker and his crew floated for days on the rough waters of the Pacific Ocean. They fought the sun, they fought the sharks, and most of all, they fought hunger and thirst. By the 8th day, their rations ran out. No food and no water. They were hundreds of miles from land, and no one knew where they were or even if they were alive. Every day across America, millions wondered and prayed that Eddie Rickenbacker might somehow be found alive. The men adrift needed a miracle, and that afternoon they had a simple devotional service and prayed for a miracle. They tried to take a nap. So Eddie leaned back and pulled his military cap down over his face. Time dragged on, and all he could hear was the slap of the waves against the raft. Suddenly, Eddie felt something land on the top of his cap. It was a seagull. Old Eddie would later describe how he sat perfectly still, planning his next move. And with a flash of his hand and a squawk from the gull, he managed to grab it and wring its neck. He tore the feathers off, and he and his starving crew made a meal of it. A very slight meal for those 8 men. Now, they would go on and use the intestines for bait. With it, they caught fish, which gave them food and even more bait, and the cycle would continue. With that simple survival technique, they were able to endure the rigors of the sea until they were found and rescued after 24 days at sea. Eddie Rickenbacker lived many years beyond that ordeal, but he would never forget the sacrifice of that first life-saving seagull, and he never stopped saying thank you. That's why almost every Friday night he would walk to the end of that pier with a bucket full of shrimp and a heart full of gratitude as he said, "Thank you. Thank you." P.S. By the way, Eddie Rickenbacker was the founder of Eastern Airlines. Before World War I, he was a race car driver. In World War I, he was a pilot and became America's first ace. In World War II, he was an instructor and a military advisor, and he flew missions with the combat pilots. Eddie Rickenbacker is a true American hero. And so now you know another story about the trials and the sacrifices that our brave men and women have endured for your freedom and for mine. And may we, like Eddie and so many others, for so many reasons, have a heart of gratitude and say, thank you. Thank you. The greatest command, one of the greatest and most neglected commands in all the Bible, is recorded multiple times. One is in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 15, where we're instructed, and be thankful. What are you thankful for today? Who are you thankful for today? I challenge you, take the opportunity that you have to tell that person, thank you. To express your gratitude and your thankfulness in some way to God, to your family, to your friends, whomever it may be, for whatever reasons. But thank you for joining us today. May God bless you. We look forward to being with you again real soon. And keep your eye on the eternal prize. And keep your heart full of gratitude and thanksgiving to God. And look for ways to show it to others. May God bless you, thank you, and we'll see you again real soon.